Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this episode of Heresy Hammer. I am going to be talking about Saturnine Terminators because we got a new article today, and this one, oh man, it's so juicy. This one is super juicy, full of lots of information about the new Saturnine Terminators, along with the Saturnine Praetor as well. So let's get straight into it. Because what I want to do today is just not go through every single rule that's on its data sheet, but just pick out a few bits and pieces that I thought were interesting. And then from there, we will have a look at the new weapons and just see how devastating they are, how useful that they could potentially be in a list. I think just to get it off my chest straight away, I really like the Saturnine Terminators. I think they look really cool. I really like the size of them, and I particularly like the Saturnine Praetor as well. I will definitely be adding it to my force, no matter whether I think the weapons are good or not, just because I think it'll be a great painting opportunity. And I think they look, yeah, as I say, I think they look really cool. So new models are always welcome, as the legions have really only got the Kratos, and I guess like the upgrades for the command squad really over the past 3 years. So yeah, new models are welcome. So the Saturnine Terminator squad itself, 3 guys in it, 1 sergeant, and then 2 terminators. You can add up to 3 Saturnine Terminators per 60 points per model, and just 3 of them is a whopping 200 points. They're a pricey unit, but I suppose that they come with 9 wounds in total. Things just to say, so lots of people on the WhatsApp groups that I'm on were querying why there was a Terminator Sergeant without any increased stats. I suppose every unit is going to have a Terminator, sorry, a Sergeant of some kind in it, because if you want to upgrade that unit with the Master Sergeant Prime slot, then that Sergeant will become a bit of a dick kicker. So I guess this might be something that we'll see with units with multiple guys in it. So it's got a 2-up, a 4-up. We kind of knew that already. It was T6. What is interesting is that on this data slate, it is strength 4, whereas in the rules in the book, on the kind of like quick profile rules that were leaked, they were actually strength 5, which is interesting. So a little bit of a difference there. Other things to notice, it is the little picture of the Terminator in the corner there. So it's obviously going to go into that slot. I can't remember what it is. Maybe Vanguard, is it, off the top of my head? Shock Assault or something like that. I haven't got the leaked rules right in front of me right this second. And then special rules explode 6, so it can blow up, which is quite exciting. It's also got implacable advance and slow and purposeful. Now, implacable advance is not a rule I've seen for a very long time. It might have been last time I saw that, I think it was like 3 years ago or something. And I seem to remember it allowed you to score, I think, although I'm sure the comments, people at the screen are yelling at me right now. So it might be that means that it can score. It is not in the leaked rulebook, so I'm assuming it's in the Liber rulebook, and then it's also got slow and purposeful as well, which is interesting. So that is not in the leaked rules. So again, I'm going to assume that well, I don't think it's in the leaked rules, not that I've seen, but I'm going to assume that's the Liber book as well. And then it's also got the heavy subtype in there as well. I don't think heavy can re-roll saves on blasts now, which means that flamers are just going to become even better because they've got panic, and then the fact that you can't re-roll them. I mean, that was the Achilles heels of flamers, because like Terminators just shrugged off all those flame hits. But it does have something called the Oculus Targeting Auspex. So basically, if it stays still, it can fire 2 weapons. It gets the firing protocols too. So that you'd assume from that, if it moves, it can only fire 1 weapon, even if it's like a heavy weapon or something like that. So I think the thing to bear in mind is they can only move 5 inches. So, and the heavy will mean that they probably can't rush. I'm avoiding using the word run because I don't think we've got the word run in there in the rulebook anymore. I think it's rush. So yeah, it's interesting that firing protocols allows it to shoot two weapons. So I guess if you're going for that double shooty option, these guys could be quite static in the in your game. So bear that one in mind. I don't think that's a problem. It's just something to build your army list around. And then it also has the thermal diffraction field. We got no mention of what that could be. Like, I think the 4-up in button is just inbuilt into the stats now, and I think the thermal diffraction field probably does something else. So, be it that it's immune to, or some kind of immunity to melter, it does one less damage or something like that, right? So something again to bear in mind. We don't know what it does yet. We'll just have to wait and see until those Libers books come out, unless they show us sooner rather than later. The Praetor in Saturnine Terminator armor is a whopping 200 points, which is significantly more expensive than most Praetors in Terminator armor from 2nd edition. Like, that is quite pricey, and I would that's comparable to what Sigismund used to be, what Abaddon used to be. I think they were over 200 points. I think Sigismund was like 215, 230, something around that mark. And again, those characters were absolute dick swingers. So this guy's, I think, is just by virtue of the fact he's toughness 6 and has 6 wounds, is a bit of a beast. He of course has a 2-up, 4-up. He's got the same rules: implacable, advanced, and slow and purposeful. It is interesting. So the image in the corner is of the high command kind of like helmet silhouette, but he has the command subtype. So there is no, I guess, high command subtype. It is just command subtype, but he does have the Master of the Legion rule. So I think that in my previous video, I was saying I suspect that high command will basically be that it will also give them Master of the Legion, and this is kind of more evidence to suggest that Master of the Legion is basically high command. The other thing I think to point out here, and it's something that I'm definitely conscious of going into this edition, is that although his leadership is 10 for those routed statuses and those leadership checks, he still only has a call of 9. So, so there is a reasonable chance he could get pinned or suppressed, or the unit he's with could get pinned or suppressed, unless Implacable Advance does something like you're immune to pinning or immune to being suppressed, right? There's lots of question marks here, but I just think it's interesting that actually he's got a call of 9, so it's not that whopping leadership 10, it's not equal to that. Now, something that came out of today, really interesting. So his war gear, he has the Saturnine teleportation transponder. It basically means if you have an attached Saturnine squad with your Saturnine Praetor, they can deep strike, which is pretty cool. And remember that deep strike looks to be only 1 unit per turn. I do seem to remember on the pages that they previewed, that Kerry kind of like analyzed in a previous episode, he was saying that you can manipulate the reserve turn, or they come in automatically with a command augury something. I seem to vaguely remember. I'd have to go back into the previous episode. So it'd be interesting to see whether you can they just come in automatically if you got like a command augury squad or a Masters of Signal or something like that. So yeah, really interesting. Now, I won't go through all of the points for the stats for this particular episode, but what I am going to do is analyze each of the weapons, and we're just going to go through, because I think for me, when I saw the weapon profiles, I was like, okay, I don't really know what that means in the context of like just killing stuff. Like I saw that new weapon profile and was like, okay, how useful is it going to be? So I'm going to attempt to kind of just compare it to a normal legionary, a centurion, and then compare it against another Saturnine Terminator and see how devastating it actually is. So the first weapon here, I couldn't find any decent weapons with double plasma bombards, and this is the only one from the first leaked images that we got. So the plasma bombard, it's got 2 modes of fire. So I assume you just choose which one you want to use. This is the sustained fire option, and this is the less dangerous one. So this one can't blow yourself up with. So it's going to be, I guess, reliable, this one. So it's range 24. It's firepower 1, so it gets 1 shot per bombard. It's range strength of 6. It's AP 4. So if Thalax are still 4 up armor save, they are going to fear these guys. And then it's damage 1. It's blast 3. It's barrage 1. So that means you can fire indirectly. So you don't need line of sight. You don't need to be able to see your opponent or the unit that you want to fire at. You can just fire at it. But bear in mind, barrage 1 means that when it scatters 1d6. So you don't roll to, I think you don't roll to hit. You just scatter and then it's 1d6. So, you know, it's going to go max 6 and minimum of 1. It's breaching 6 up. So we know breaching now is an AP2 if you roll on the roller 6. Okay, so it's not, I don't think, an automatic wound. I think rending is automatic wounds and breaching is AP2. All right. So let's have a look and compare it against what it would do to like a tactical marine. Okay, so if I fire 1 or 2 of these on top of a tactical marine head, I am basically going to be fishing for that breaching. And I was really shocked at this. Like, I didn't think that this was particularly overpowered. I was like, yeah, okay, it's AP4. Your Marines most of the time are going to have their 3-up save, but actually when you do roll those 6s to wound and they're AP2, sure, it's gonna absolutely mince through them, but most of the time they're going to have their 3-up save, which is interesting. It's damage 1, so if they do fail the save or you get the AP2, it's just going to kill them outright, unless there is an apothecary presumably with them. But yeah, interesting to note that actually it's AP4. And then, yeah, just to say on the range is 24 inches, that's, you know, they've only got a movement of 5. I think if you're going to use these guys and use them as the double cannon, you know, it suggests to me that you should probably use them in the center of the board, moving up slowly, and then try and dominate the center of the board. But 3 of these guys were each armed with a plasma bombard. Yeah, that's a lot of 3-inch blasts, and normal troops will probably kind of try and stay away from them as much as they can. If we go against something like an independent character, so just to mention as well, against toughness 4 is going to be wounding on 2s. So yeah, I'm going to roll a lot of wounds, but I am really fishing for those 6s for that AP2. Against a Centurion, so I mean, let's imagine we get 2 shots directly on top of this guy's head. You know, the AP4 that is just going to bounce off that 2-up save unless you're lucky and you get the breaching, and even then he's going to get a 5-up invuln, and it wouldn't kill him outright because Centurion has 3 wounds. So not, again, you know, I would say not massively devastating. And similar to the Saturnine Terminator, if I fired 2 of these at a Saturnine Terminator, you know, I'm now wounding on 4s. And again, I'm really relying on that breaching to kind of do anything here. And then even if I get a breaching 6-up, he's got a 4-up invuln against it. And 2 shots directly landing on this guy's head, even if they're both breaching, and even if I fail both of my 4-up invulns, wouldn't kill him outright because he's still got 3 wounds. So yeah, not massively devastating, but pretty cool weapon. And I guess you can tuck these guys behind a building or something and keep on firing. You don't need line of sight, and you're only scattering 1d6. Let's have a look at the maximal fire, because there are 2 options for the plasma bombards: the sustained fire and the maximal fire. So again, we've got the Oculus targeting Auspex. So if I stay still, I can fire both of these, but if I move, I'm assuming you can only fire one of them. So the maximal fire is slightly better because it's a +1 strength and it's breaching 5 up this time, but it's overload 2. Now, I cannot find in the leaked rules the overload rule, and there was only 1 sentence about it in a previous WarCom article that basically said if you roll a 1, it was referring to overload 1. If you roll a 1, then it does damage to the unit. So I'm going to assume that overload 2 means that if you roll to, well, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I'm not sure if I assume because it's barrage, you would roll it first. before the barrage. And if you roll a 2, it does damage to you, and you can't fire, presumably. So it's going to be interesting to see how Overload 2 interacts with barrage, because you don't roll to hit. So I assume it's like Plasma, how it is now. You roll a d6 to see if it gets hot, and then you roll for the blast and see where it lands. So let's just assume that it works like that until we actually see the Overload rule and how it interacts with barrage. But yeah, so that means that your Overload, you've got a third of a chance to do some serious damage to yourself. But I guess the thing is that when you damage yourself, you're looking, you're hoping that you're not going to roll a breaching 5 up, right? Because otherwise it will just bounce off your armor. So against similar kind of conversation, really, which is sure it's strength 7. It always in that sustain mode was going to wound Centurions and normal Marines on a 2 anyway. This time it's just a little bit better at wounding against tougher models, but you've got twice the chance of kind of breaching, because it's now breaching 5 up. Again, same conversation. If you get that breaching and they don't have a feel no pain, it will just kind of kill them outright. And then the Centurion has a 5 up invuln, but then he could potentially have a feel no pain as well if he's attached to Apothecary in some way. So he'll get a 5 up because it doesn't look like there's any instant death, and instant death thresholds don't really matter anymore. And then it's a little bit better, I guess, against the Saturnine Terminator, because rather than wounding on 4s, it will now wound on 3s. But again, they're quite tough, and you're not going to be able to kill it outright. So yeah, I didn't think. I also think that the rewards of breaching 5 up, is it worth the Overload 2? I think you gotta have balls made of steel, I think, to equip 3 Saturnine Terminators with this loadout, and then be maximal firing it all the time. I think you got to have a brass neck on you, I reckon. Right, let's have a look at the Twin Heavy Disintegrator. I could not find a Twin Heavy Disintegrator model that they had painted, so I took it from the video. So this is this is personally, I think, if we're talking about meta and chasing meta, not that what this is necessarily this is all about, but this is the more devastating of the 2 weapons, I think. The Plasma might be better for crowd control, particularly like going after tech thralls and Thalax and just large attack squads, just for the amount of hits that you're going to get, because you're going to get a fair amount with 6 blasts in one unit. But if you really want to kill stuff, I suppose the Twin Heavy Disintegrator is going to be the way that you go. So the first thing to say, though, it does have Overload 2. So when you roll it's like a solid shot. This is not a blast in the way that the plasma worked. But the Overload 2, you roll to hit, you hit on 3s, but if you roll a 1 or a 2, that means that the damage is going to go onto your unit. Now, if you have 2 Twin Heavy Disintegrators, then that's going to be double the damage on that unit, right? Because each one is doing D2, and I assume you get your invuln on it. But if you fail both your invulns, that's going to be 1 of your Saturnine and a bit off. You've got to blow yourself up. So this is dangerous. Could be quite fun, but I do think in this scenario, the risk reward is probably worth it. So it's range 24. You do need line of sight with this weapon. It's not barrage, as I said before. You do need to bear that one in mind. It's range 24, so these guys sitting in the middle of the table just pumping out shots and controlling the middle of the board could be pretty terrifying. It's 2 shots a piece, so each guy will have 4 shots if they stay still, which is pretty frightening. And then it's strength 7, it's AP 2, and it's damage 2. So it's 2 shots, and so each guy could be potentially, pumping out a whole lot of damage. Each one of those shots does 2 damage, right? And then, if you've got 2 weapons, that's a lot. So let's have a look and compare it to a Marine. So let's assume that all your hits go off for some reason, and you don't kill yourself. This is just going to utterly obliterate Marines unless they've got a feel no pain of some kind, or unless they've got a cover save, that they can potentially save themselves with. But even then, I suspect it will be just a 6-up. So this will absolutely mince and chew through these guys. Exactly the same, exactly the same for a Centurion. It's wounding them on 2s. It's 2 damage, and each weapon gets 2 shots apiece. So unless that Centurion makes his invulnerable saves, he's a goner. He only needs to fail 2 invulnerable saves, and then that's it. He's gone. So this is going to be really devastating. And then against a normal Terminator, so it's normal. I say not normal Terminator. It's a Saturnine Terminator. It's wounding those guys on 3s because they're T6. You of course have your 4-up save, your 4-up invuln. But again, if you fail that 4-up invuln on 2 of those, any 2 of those shots, your Saturnine's gone. It's just deleted. So I think personally, the risk reward with the twin heavy disintegrator is pretty frightening. I think this is probably the one that people are going to take. I suspect it's going to be pretty good for killing dreadnoughts as well, because it seems to be a lot of shots. I mean, each guy is pumping out 4 shots, and each one of those shots is damage 2. And then so that's 8 damage that one guy could be doing per turn. I think that's right. If I'm wrong about that, put it in the comments below. Some quick maths there. You wouldn't believe I was a teacher back in the day. But yeah, I think the risk reward is probably worth it. But as I say, if you roll a 1 or a 2, you're going to blow yourself up. I can really imagine if you've got 6 of these weapons in one 3-man squad, per turn, you could, you're going to lose a couple of wounds each turn, if not blow up just one guy per turn. So bear that one in mind, guys, that they are lethal, but they are also lethal to you as well. Let's have a look at the close combat weapons, but also the particle shredder as well. So let's have a look at the particle shredder. Now, again, this is important because if you've got, say, the bombard, and then you've upgraded to have your fist with the particle shredder, I assume in order to use both of those weapons, you're going to need to stay still, because the firing protocols 2 means that you need to stay still, unless the assault weapons just ignore that, right? So that's going to be something to bear in mind. The other thing is that for these assault weapons, and the fact that they are template, when you volley fire before close combat, when you do your setup move and then volley fire, the fact that it's template suggests to me that it might be Wall of Death, which I haven't seen the Wall of Death rule yet, but usually that would be D3 kind of hits per template. So that's going to be interesting to see how that works. So you might shoot with your plasma bombard in the shooting phase, and then hit them with the if you've moved, hit them with the particle shredder in the when you volley fire in the assault phase, which I think would be pretty cool and pretty nice. So the particle shredder, it is overload 1, so not quite as risky as the previous weapon that we've seen, but it is breaching 6 up, which is really nice. You'll kind of feel like a Dark Angel with this one. The other one I think to bear in mind is AP3. This is, if we compare it against our Marines here, a legionary, it's just gonna go straight through their armor. And my understanding was that there's no artificer armor for tactical squads now, so that is just gonna absolutely rinse through them. So this could be I think it's a 10-point upgrade, a 5 or a 10-point upgrade. So actually, just for killing normal mooks, I think that this could be a pretty good option. Volley fire could get rid of some TAC Marines, but I think you just got to be careful with that volley fire, because if your opponent is allowed to take whichever models he wants off, he just makes the charge a little bit further. So bear that one in mind. And then it's not only is it AP3, it's 1 damage as well. And as I say, breaching 6 up. Against a Centurion, it's just going to bounce off the save unless you get the breaching. And then against another Saturnine Terminator, it's going to wound on 4s. It's going to bounce off the armor, and then only does 1 damage, and you're going to hope to get a breaching. So not particularly useful, but against like normal legionaries, I think this is going to be really powerful. The Saturnine Disruption Fist. So I think Saturnine Terminators are weapon skill 4. I don't think they're anything, but they're not elite, these guys. I think they're just like normal Terminators, basically. So they would be hitting normal Marines on a 4 anyway. You know, on a Centurion, they're going to be hitting on a 5s, and other Saturnine, they're going to be hitting on 4s. I actually think, like, just thinking it through now, these Saturnine are going to be really good against other Saturnine, but I think it's going to be mutually assured destruction if you send your Saturnine against somebody else's Saturnine, because they've got an equal chance of hitting, an equal chance of wounding. So the fist is a -2. That does mean they're going initiative 1 because they are initiative 3 base, and they factored that in. Let's just have a quick goosey gander just to make sure what I'm telling you guys is correct. Yeah, so they factored the initiative 3 in, and you'll notice that the Praetor is actually initiative 4, where usually he would be initiative 5. So these guys are going at initiative 1. It's base attacks, which are... Let's have a look how many attacks they actually get in close combat. Only 2 attacks. Interesting. Okay, not a lot of attacks. So you're going to lose half of your attacks even going against just normal tactical Marines. Their plus C strength... we know that their strength is 4, so it's going to be 6s. It's AP2, but it is damage 3, which is absolute savage. So, like, against the Marine, if it wounds and hits, it's just going to obliterate them. Against a, just 1 hit against a Centurion, an independent character, it wounds on 2s, but you're hitting on 5s, but it wounds on 2s. And then if any of those go through, and your Centurion fails his 5 up inbound, it will just one of those power fist or disruption fist attacks will just kill it outright. And then the same with the Saturnine. The difference with the Saturnine is that you're wounding on 4s. It says strength 5 there, they're not actually strength 5. That was I think they are strength 4. Let's just have a quick, just definitely check that one for you guys. Yeah, strength 4. So just ignore the fact it says strength 5 there. So yeah, they're going to be wounding on 4s, hitting on 4s, wounding on 4s. But any one of those disruption fist attacks that go through is just going to kill them outright. But they do have a half a chance saving it. So like every time that roll happens, it's half, and then half again. So yeah, but I think that could be a good answer. Personally, though, I'm not necessarily sure the fist and 1 shooting weapon is going to be the most devastating option. I think it looks cool. I think it I can see it being a little bit useful. It's definitely against other Saturnine Terminators, but I think the double this gun here, the double devastating weapon is going to be absolutely savage. What was it called? The Disintegrator, Twin Heavy Disintegrator. Right, let's have a look at the Praetors. So, the Saturnine War Axe. Now, this is quite a savage weapon. Oh, just before we go on, though, so we've got a Plasma Blaster with the Praetor, and this has 2 modes of fire, same as the kind of like Plasma Bombard. So, it's got the Sustained Fire, which is range 18, 2 shots apiece, strength 7, AP 4, and then damage 1, and it's breaching 6 up. I wonder if Plasma is going to go this way. So it's no longer breaching 4 up, it's going to be like breaching 6 up now, but still AP 4, strength 7. Interesting. And I wonder if you're going to be able to like overload all kinds of Plasma now to get like a maximal fire. That would be interesting to see if that's a change for Plasma. So if you want to overload it, and I think this would probably be worth the risk. Again, it's 2 shots, it's strength 8, AP 4, damage 1, it's breaching 5 up. Yeah, I could see that. I think you'd have to be pretty unlucky to overload it. But yeah, you can upgrade your Saturnine Praetor to have the Plasma Blaster, and then he's got the Saturnine War Axe. Oh, mama, this is what it's all about. So it's going at initiative. So a Praetor's going at initiative 4. Usually they'd be going at initiative 5, but because they're in Saturnine armor, it's down 1. They get their base attacks, which I'm going to assume is 4. Let's have a look. Remind myself. Yeah, 4 attacks. That's pretty tasty, isn't it? Ooh, mama. And then +1 strength. So it's going to be strength 5. It's AP 2. and then damage 2, and it's got Reaping Blow. So if it's outnumbered, which I assume most of these Saturnine Terminators are going to be outnumbered most of the time, unless bulky, yeah, I mean, they are bulky 4 each, so unless bulky plays a factor in this. But yeah, so you get a fair amount of attacks. Damage 2 is pretty nice as well. Yeah, I really like this weapon. And actually for the focus roll, you know, the fact that it's going out initiative could be pretty important. However, there is another weapon that they showed us, which is the Saturnine Concussion Hammer. And I wonder whether this will give us an indication about where the kind of old Thunder Hammers are going to be going. The Concussion Hammer is -3, so it's going to be going at initiative 1. It's base attack, so we know that's 4. It's ×2 strength, so it would be going at strength 8, and then it's AP2, and it's 3 damage. Like, this is absolutely devastating. And then a critical hit automatically inflicts a wound and increases damage by +1. So if any of those like rolls to hit, any of them that are 6, not only does it just automatically wound, you don't even need to roll on the wound table, it also does 4 damage as well. Like, I can see this being a really, like, a weapon that people will probably want to take, but because it's going at initiative 1 in a challenge with that focus roll, you know, if they are in a challenge and you choose to accept challenge, they'll be they'll be going lower than the person with, potentially after the person with the axe. But it might be that you can stack enough things with your focus roll and take enough gambits that actually you manage to go first with your hammer, right? Needless to say, this will just devastate all 3 of our options here. Our tactical marine, like, they will just be obliterated, a mist on the ground. Centurion, yeah, sure, he has a 5 of invuln, but he's not going to save enough attacks, and he's just going to be dead just with 1. And same again with the Saturnine Terminator. They are just going to get absolutely demolished here unless they can save all the attacks on a 4-up invuln. Any one of those attacks goes through, they're gone. So it's been really interesting seeing these weapon options, and I'd love to get your guys' thoughts as well on them, because this was quite a juicy article. I thought it gave us a real indication of where, like, the role of Saturnine Terminators, the role of the Saturnine Praetor, what weapons we think are going to be useful. That Disintegrator, though, oh mama, that's going to be a bit of a tasty weapon on the tabletop. But that Overload too. As I say, you've got to have balls made of steel to take 6 of those in one Saturnine squad. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you aren't already, make sure you go sign up at the Patreon as well. Go give us some love. Go support us there. The more people that support us, the more content that we can create. And I suspect that this is going to be a very, very busy time for Heresy Hammer. But as I say, the more people that support, the more content we can do for you guys. Anyway, we will see you on the next one. Take it easy, guys. Bye now.